Welcome to the Screen Time Continuum. It is a wonderful Sunday. My name is Keelan, and I am here with Nick as always. What's going on, Nick? How you feeling?
As always, I don't know what day it is, and I'm feeling okay. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great. I can't complain. I can honestly say that having this choice of a movie to review even makes the day a little better for me. Um, this is definitely in my top 10 favorites of all time, so it brightened uh my day a little bit just to be able to sit with it and then the thoughts of being able to talk about it a little bit this evening. So marvelous day for me indeed.
That's great to hear.
Yes, indeed. So the movie we are breaking down, reviewing, and putting forth our opinions on this evening will be the 1999 classic by Kevin Smith. I guess, can we call this a classic? Cult classic?
Yeah, I think it's appropriate. I think the songs that we were listening to when we were youngins is now on the classic rock station. So
Ah, this is
yeah,
very true. This is very true. So yeah, definitely the classic Kevin Smith film, 1999, Dogma. If you can't find this movie on your streams or anywhere else, I understand. Just hopefully you know somebody with a throwback copy, maybe a DVD, maybe they purchased it digitally somewhere, or maybe you just want to go and rent it on one of your platforms, Amazon or something like that, like I had to go and do. But hey, what you can definitely do, you can ask that friend. It's going to be there for you. But sit right here with our review, and yeah, who knows? Maybe you'll get everything you need. And if you haven't seen the 1999 film Dogma, then you can go and catch it at a different time, but you'll get everything here. But if you have seen it, you remember it, you love it, you hate it, sit here with us. We have some things to say. I'm not sure how much justice I've done this movie. People might automatically think that it's not a good film. Maybe I oversold it. I'm sorry. With that being said, Nick, what are your first thoughts?
well, I mean, I would have to rewind the clock about 20 years to give you my first impressions of this movie. But
Fair.
maybe my 20th impression, wherever we're at now. I enjoy this movie a lot. I think there's a lot of creativity to it. I think it's definitely an indie, has an indie budget feel to it, even though there's some gigantic actors in this film. I think it's a fun movie. I did find myself kind of a little bit bored after a while, but that's not really because of the movie, but more that I've seen it so many times. So I can't fault it for that. I don't think it was fun. It's a interesting story, kind of creative in a way. I dig the indie aspects of it. Very feels like it's shot, with a very conservative budget.
Mhm.
And I think it lends I think that lends to the story pretty well because you have to kind of get creative with stuff. I think that if I have one critique for it is that there is a lot of exposition in this movie, and maybe to a point where you're kind of like, whoa, like
Yeah.
I don't know how that conversation goes naturally, but it certainly doesn't do that. Where you're explaining all of the things that the audience is probably thinking.
Mhm.
But it is a testament to the writing that they thought of all of the things that the audience were going to be nitpicking about and decided to work that way into the script. So,
Mhm.
overall impressions, fun movie, worth a watch. Um, I'll probably wait for a little while to watch it again. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Definitely. Um, as far as budget, it is a $10 million budget film. It box office 44 million, which I think if it were to come out in the last 10 years, I would think that's low. Seeing as how it came out in 1999, I would say if this movie came out in even 2009, um, it easily would have grossed over 150 million. No question.
well, I mean, a 400% increase on your budget is decent.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think they did very well for what they put out, definitely. But just thinking of reception, 99, of course, the jokes and that, the level of humor and stuff, I don't know if they could have gotten away with it in 2009. But um, I don't really remember the temperature, and I feel like in 2000 by 2009 people were just willing to go to the theater to have a laugh. I know we had a lot of adventure and superhero flicks around that time as well. Uh, so just thinking of the difference in the entertainment time for me,
Yeah.
thinking with this being in my top 10. Um,
Well, it's definitely a smaller feel movie. Yeah,
mhm.
it's
I
it's
would
not Marvel or anything like that, but
not at
it's
all.
telling kind of a big story, which is fun.
I think so as well. I today even I mean I would watch this movie probably twice a year at this point, but I would even go and watch this movie in a small theater still, honestly. Like if I knew someone who wanted to have a private screening somewhere, I'd go. I'd go. But with that, my first impressions, I like the movie. I think it is fun as well. Watchable, rewatchable. Uh, and it doesn't I don't even if for the highly religious, like I've watched this movie with a very large variety of people at this point. I don't know anyone who's really offended by this movie, and that's very hard to do when you're making a religious based movie. Even with all the disclaimers and all of the understanding of this just being satirical and funny. Um, I know it got a lot of pushback in the real world, but from my experience, I don't know many people who didn't receive this movie well, and I think that says a lot. To like you were saying, the thought that was put into the material one, but also just the level of genuineness. Like nobody was trying to be offensive. It's entertainment. Be entertained.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. It is well, yeah, and you get that disclaimer at the beginning of the movie telling
oh
people
yeah,
not to get offended and all that stuff, which is funny because
right.
we think about our current era and some of the temperature of socially about offense and getting
Oh
offended
yeah.
at stuff. But it's like, well, that was happening back then too.
Well, I,
Just might
I
have it might have been from the other side.
oh right. I think it's ironic that in today's day and age, a guy like Kevin Smith, because like even though I think he would you know what? He's outspoken, so I could probably go and find out what he does and doesn't align with. I don't really know, but I would think the way his films are set up, he can't make a movie today. But if he were to get
No.
up and talk about what he truly believes, it could possibly not too far from what people are really trying to get done today, and that's what's interesting. You know, just
Mm.
being a human being, you don't have to make your work everything that you believe. You can just venture into the entertainment, and I think that
Well, I
more people. Uh-huh.
yeah. No, I think that Kevin Smith got a sort of reputation for being edgy because of movies like this.
Right.
But with all due respect, it wasn't. It's not edgy to rail on religion. I just don't feel that it is. I think that that's been done for so long. It's the mainstream. So
Mhm.
I don't know how much of an edgy character Kevin Smith actually is. Like we look at this and they're like, "Oh, it's a scathing review of
Oh, for
religion."
99, only for
for
1999,
for
not
for
in 2023.
1999. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is like, I don't think that it was actually even that dangerous to have this type of outlook back then either.
Mhm.
Like it,
Yeah, kind of.
criticizing religion was all the rage in the 90s.
Right.
So yeah, I
Well,
just think it's funny because I don't think Kevin Smith could make a movie that's as irreverent today. I don't
right.
think we could.
Well, and that's kind of I don't think anybody could. I think a lot of movies and entertainment quote I have to put high quotes around entertainment today. It's all close to chest. And that's kind of what I was getting at is I couldn't say if he believes everything that he's putting out on screen, but there is a definite appreciation for just funny. And I think that has to be done more now. Like, don't worry about how people feel about you from the art. Just put out the art, damn it. But I do agree as well. I don't know if it's edgy, but I know it's not done in the guise of most people think it's gonna tank their career just because they pissed a couple of people off. Um, but a lot of things are cliche if we look at them in hindsight.
Hmm.
So with that, I had another question in regards to Kevin Smith, and I don't remember what it was. So we're just gonna move forward. I do want to note the cast of this movie. I guess again, for those who know, most Kevin Smith films have like just a high level of cameo. of some higher list actors, but this particular movie, especially for such a low budget film, and probably the only movie where I don't remember some line referencing friends doing movies for friends, done by Kevin Smith. In every single other movie they reference, like, basically letting you know, like, oh yeah, they only got this particular person because they're his friend or
Mm.
something of that nature. um this particular cast, it's pretty much looks like all friends, but I'm pretty sure they had to get paid. So it goes Kevin Smith, Jay Muse, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Alan Rickman, Linda Florentino, Jason Lee, Selma Hayek, Chris Rock, Alanis Morissette, George Carlin, uh, Jared Fingenworth. It's Pfennigwerth. Yeah, I can't pronounce that. I'm sorry.
Mm-mm.
Um, Robert Holtzman, Janine Garofalo, and I think now we get to people that you may not have heard of, but are still familiar if you see their face. Brian O'Halloran, Jeff Anderson. These are people who are always in uh, Kevin Smith movies.
Mm.
Um, just a level of people. Walt Flanagan. I'm trying to find all of them, but it just goes Ethan Suplee.
You know, it's weird.
What's that?
The IMDb page doesn't have a lot of the actors listed in the top
Really?
cast. Yeah.
See,
I'm
see
wondering if some people got nervous about being associated with this
with
movie.
this movie. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well, at some point the director got nervous about being associated with this movie and went on a tirade, but that's
that's true.
an entire different episode. I'm sure we can host on that. And you know what? I'll just say this. You make it, no matter who you made it with and who it's stuck with, you're allowed to speak however you want against it because you technically don't own it. So hey, you're not losing any money. um with that, let's get into our review of said movie. And yeah, I sure hope everybody else out there who has an opinion will chime in, or at least take in the suggestions, some of the things that occur in this movie, how it's talked about, and understand why I love this movie so much. Because I wouldn't say it's edgy, because I like how you made sure to highlight that, Nick. I would definitely not say this movie is edgy, but I will say it pisses a few people off, and it makes a couple of jokes that growing up in church you couldn't make.
I think it pisses off the different people now.
Oh, it definitely pisses off a different type of people, not the
I
same
don't
people.
think it pisses off religious people at all anymore.
No, religious
Yeah,
people think it's funny.
right.
But when we were coming up, these are the
They
kind of
hated
things
it.
that, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
oh yeah.
yep.
But yeah,
Back in
nowadays,
the day.
look, nowadays this is religious satire. They probably show this at Bible study.
Maybe.
Have a good couple of chuckles over at the Vatican.
Right.
So yeah, so we open this movie with a disclaimer. Oh, sorry, dropped my pen. And that disclaimer is, again, as we covered just a moment ago, to ask you not to take this movie too damn serious. Like, first off, don't take yourself too serious. I always ask people not to do that. It's just useless. But definitely don't take this movie too serious, because it was made to make you laugh. And if you don't laugh, then you're kind of you're kind of ruining the whole point of them making this for you. So, with them saying that, we jump to an old man who is staring out at the ocean. I guess at the pier, you would call that, or what we call that, the boardwalk.
It looks like a boardwalk, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Coney Island almost.
Mm-hmm. Hey, right, exactly. Hanging out at the boardwalk, and we see he gets jumped. And he gets jumped by some young men who are on their hockey skates, on their looking like they're playing is that called, land hockey? Jeez, I do not. Hockey
Yeah.
is in every Kevin Smith movie as well, for the record.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just roller hockey, I guess, right?
Yeah, roller hockey. That would be. I'm sure that would be the actual name.
Hmm.
Outdoors hockey.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they just kids that look like they play hockey, but they are some mean-spirited young men. They beat up the old dude, put him into a coma, it seems like, and from there we jump over to the Catholicism Wow campaign, and that, honestly, if you don't think the Catholicism Wow thing is funny, and that doesn't reel you into wanting to laugh and get into this movie, then yeah, turn it off at that point. Turn it off
Yeah.
after you see the Buddy Christ. If you don't laugh at the Buddy Christ, just turn it off. Because if that's not funny to you, this movie won't be funny to you. You know,
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because like there's nothing offensive about Buddy Christ,
it's nothing
technically.
offensive.
Like all he's doing is giving you the thumbs up and pointing at you. You know, like
The Buddy Christ give you the willies.
Mhm.
And man, just think of. I always think when I get to see old roles like George Carlin roles, Robin Williams roles, Richard Pryor roles. I could go down the list. Uh, uh, what's Farley? Chris Farley. Chris Farley. Thinking of how far they could have gone if they were still with us. Like this was, what is it, 30 years now? Almost, well, 20 some odd years ago now. Imagine how far George Carlin, if he was still with us at his age, he'd probably be in his late 70s, 80s.
Yeah, I think he'd be dead by now, anyways. I think he
Maybe
died in his
he
70s.
he did, but I'm just saying if they were still here, because they'd all be like old. Like they wouldn't
Yeah.
be still performing. They wouldn't be. I'm just saying the few little clips or snippets we get of them, like
Mhm.
they'd be worth 10 of these movies every time by this point in there if they were still around, just because I think a lot of what we saw, like we know that Carlin had his whole thing, his tirade against religion. Like that was a huge part of his stand up.
Mhm.
Um, I could only imagine how much further the thoughts would have progressed and what else we would have gotten out of that mind, is what I mean. Not necessarily saying it's right or wrong, but the thoughts. I don't think there's people that think like that anymore. And the kind of energy he put into a lot of his characters. I mean, he was the narrator for Thomas the Train, for God's sake. You don't love Thomas because of no damn train. You love Thomas because you heard George Carlin's voice. You just
Mhm.
don't know it. So I don't know. Every time I see this movie and I see him as the bishop, it gives me chills, because I think, man, that's from some of the other things I've seen him do. And he's in, seems like, I think 3 Kevin Smith movies as well. Um, it's a lot of range there, but I guess I could say I have my love affair with comedic actors. I just like to see everything they do.
Mhm.
Um, but Buddy Christ, Catholicism, wow. Um, yeah, I agree. That's what I was actually going to ask you, is did you see anything offensive about that? You already said you didn't, and I didn't either. I really thought it was cool. I thought it was funny, and we know what happened in real life. We fast forward, we meet Loki and we meet Bartleby.
Mhm.
Um, I enjoy the introduction to Loki. The introduction to Bartleby is more subtle. I don't like where it starts, but by the time it ends with Bartleby, the beginning makes sense.
Mhm.
But at
Yeah.
first, it's like, what? Like, why is he this way? Like, isn't he supposed to be the angel of death? Isn't Loki supposed to be off his rocker? But clearly, when you even listen to the story, it was never Loki.
Yeah. Yeah. Just being manipulated.
Hmm. How would the greatest warrior have such a weak mind, though?
I mean, he's just a tool for God, right? I guess he just follows orders. So you probably don't need to be incredibly
Intelligent or perceptive?
intelligent. Yeah.
Hmm, fair enough. And Bartleby's definitely a people watcher, but I did enjoy Loki's razzling of the nun.
Mhm.
You know, take the money that you've collected, go and buy yourself something nice. Like, buddy, why would you do that to her? Don't do that. Um, but yeah, any thoughts about anything? We could move forward past that as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's self-explanatory. It's Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. They kind of act like themselves, and but they're angels. So, which is pretty funny. I like some of their banter back and forth with each other. I think that's pretty funny too. But there's a lot of dialogue in this movie, so sometimes it's hard for me to remember exactly what was said, anyways, because they talk a lot in this movie.
Oh
So,
yeah. Oh yeah. I could imagine that the script for this was probably about 5, 6 pounds.
Yeah.
Um, and somehow, some way, I probably know about 80% of the script. It's insane. I just sit there watching the whole movie, blah 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 blah. But no, absolutely, you're right. It's mostly a talking movie. Most of the hot points and takeaway references are definitely in the descriptions and or the stories that are told about what's going on through the movie. Um, which what can I say? That's what I like about it, honestly.
I'm not saying it's bad. I
No,
don't. I
no, yeah,
don't. Yeah, I'm not making any complaints. I just do think that it's dialogue heavy, and if you're not paying attention, it can tend to sort of,
drone on.
yeah, a little bit, a little bit. You can kind of lose track of what's being explained.
Oh yeah,
Because
no.
there's a
See, I
lot
have
of
a
explaining about what the thing is. Because like it makes sense. It costs $10 million. You can't do all of the things that you want to do, so you have to tell the story in a way. But I think that they could have maybe dialed back some of the explanation for everything, because I found myself just like sitting there like, all right, explain to me this now, explain to me that.
tell me
Um,
this now.
yeah, I think that they could have done with allowing a little bit more mystery about how the mechanics of heaven and hell work and stuff like that. I think that would have been fine. I don't think that you need to have so much of that. Like, well, I'm here because XYZ and we're this type of thing, and that's that thing from there and there. Like it's like you're trying to give me all of the folklore, mythology, and stuff. But
Right,
I think it's fine for you to just kind of like dial that back a little bit and just allow the audience not to have that answer, I think.
right. I definitely think this was made for the layman and religious history, religious information. So a lot of people probably would see this and have no clue what the Metatron is, or
Mhm.
hear about the Muses and the different ways that they went in their splits, and that would be the thing that keeps them in the movie. I could totally see that being a thing. Excuse me, along with because I think it's pretty cool, but I understand how.
Yeah, but think about it this way. Serendipity, you don't need to explain to me that she's a muse. The
No,
entire
right,
scene of her introduction explains exactly what you need to know about her.
right. No, that's what I was
Yeah.
about. I was actually thinking of her and Asriel and how to explain that.
Yeah.
So, they're basically the same thing, but I like how the explanation is, she chose a side, period.
Mhm.
So he didn't. But at the same time, right, we didn't really need to know,
That
oh,
wasn't
she's
necessary for the
serendipity and
character
muse. It's
either,
like
though.
she's a stripper. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Like if you don't understand what serendipity is within itself, seeing it in physical form is not going to help you any.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm not mad about seeing Summer Hayek as serendipity for
No, no, I don't think anybody should
15
be mad
minutes.
at that.
Nah.
No, no, I just think, as I said, I think there was, you didn't have to hold your audience's hand through the entire thing. And maybe it's because like the audience is people who don't have any association with religion, so you have to explain everything. But
That's a good point.
maybe that's it. Maybe it's supposed to be for the people who don't ever have any, um, you know, uh,
Opinions and thoughts of their own.
well, no, not that, or just having no association with religion. Like they have no idea what any of it means or whatever. Um, yeah.
Fair enough. So yeah, I mean, we just kind of skipped around a little bit, but
Mhm.
overall, let's just get through the synopsis of what the movie's about, and we'll continue to talk about it loosely, because I think if I continue to just try to tread along, we'll end up doing exactly what you just said, having a bunch of dialogue about the dialogue, which
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, let's not do that.
Yeah, an
So
overview of the story is fine, and then we could just talk about the stuff that we want to bring up.
right, and my version of it is there's two angels. They find a way back into heaven, but it can't be done, and God assembles, his group of people, or uh I guess entities. Like we wouldn't call them all people,
Well,
but
technically, God goes missing, and the
oh,
angels
you were
have
correct.
to assemble
Assemble.
a team to find God and stop the other angels. Yeah.
Great way to explain it.
Yeah, the
Now,
other angels and the angels.
the Google/Wiki/ I guess this would be IMDb. I never know who when you Google it originally, whose feedback is this Wiki? No, it doesn't have a Wiki tag on it. Maybe it's just Google review. So the
Hmm.
Google plot synopsis is two fallen angels who were ejected from paradise find themselves banned in Wisconsin. Which, yeah, that part right there, Wisconsin. Jeez,
It's a pretty random place to be banned.
super random, and I'm wondering what the hell is so bad about Wisconsin. They are now headed for New Jersey, where they find a loophole so that they can get back into heaven. The only catch is they will destroy humanity. A group bands together to stop them. I like your description a little bit better, Nick,
Yeah.
because
Well, there's
why
a
would this
major
band together? Oh, the angels get them together. That makes
right.
sense.
Yeah, the other angels get them to fight the other angels. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, there's also like a kind of a glaring plot hole that's not really addressed about this movie too, which
Oh,
is
Jesus being black.
no. It's about if they were banned to Wisconsin, how did they leave Wisconsin?
Yeah, I was thinking that when I was younger. I didn't think about that this time. But yeah, are they're banished to Wisconsin, but they get to leave Wisconsin? Like, doesn't that mean they stuck in Wisconsin?
Yeah, I would think that you wouldn't be able to leave Wisconsin
It's a fair point.
if you're banished, but yeah, that's all right. They can the movie. I mean, the movie can't happen if they don't leave
Yeah,
Wisconsin.
gotta leave Wisconsin because every Kevin Smith movie has to take place in Jersey or has to
It
end up
does,
in
and
Jersey
I
somehow.
think they kind of dropped the ball. They could have just had this take place in Wisconsin
Wisconsin.
and had them go to Wisconsin instead of everybody going to Jersey.
Ooh, what if they had to take the Catholicism Wow statue from Jersey to Wisconsin just because it had to be purified in some way or something of that nature? And
Mm.
then, yeah, okay, never mind. I'm doing too much.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of fun spots in this. I think Rufus is a great
Ah,
character in this one.
best character ever.
Freaking
Woohoo!
Chris Rock looks exactly the same. It's so
That dude's a
crazy
vampire.
that he's got to be a vampire because that was like 23 years ago, and he still looks
Mhm.
exactly the same.
Yeah, that dude, he looks exactly. Matter of fact, the weird part is I think he gained weight. I think he might have put on weight.
He looks healthier now, I
Yeah,
think, than
yeah,
he
that's what I
did
mean.
before. Yeah,
That's actually
yeah,
exactly what I mean. I'd say when he was working on this, he missed a few meals for sure. Stress something.
yeah. Looks very thin in this. Yeah, definitely. But he's a small guy too, so I
This is
guess
true.
yeah.
I mean, hey, I'm not too large myself over here, but he definitely looks like he's eating better today.
Well, bless him. He's allowed to.
This
That's
is true.
good. But yeah, he's a great character. Jay and Silent Bob are very funny. I found myself laughing at Jay the most in this movie for
Of
sure. So
course.
he does great comic relief in flick.
Hmm. Hmm. I think another thing I like about this movie, it's one of the few movies that Silent Bob has two lines.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he talks twice in this one, which is
Right.
kind of fun.
Which is always
I
it's
guess
just funny.
Yeah, I guess when Rufus tells you he's going to put in a word for you, you got to say thanks, right?
Oh, you definitely have to say thanks.
Yeah.
And let's discuss Rufus. Well, let's lead into Rufus. So Loki and Bartleby have decided that they're going to try to go back to heaven, but on the way there, they're going to kill the movie chair or the movie board. And I thought that was genius. I mean, honestly, if I'm the angel of death, I would think I gotta make some amends. Like, all right, who's the biggest idolaters on this planet?
Mm,
Let me take them out. I got you,
right.
God. I got you. Um, but so after they've agreed to do that, and we meet Bethany, and she works at the clinic. Um, what did you think of the Metatron's entrance? Did you think he could have possibly made himself less freaking scary by
No,
chance?
you got to go in like that. If you're the voice of God, you got to be, you got to be scary.
Gotta be on
Burning
fire.
bush. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You
burning
got to
bush.
be
You're right.
you got to be on fire, you got to be scary. I don't think that you need to pull your pants down to prove that you're anatomically, defunct. But
There's a Ken doll over here.
yeah, I think that you could have probably just said that, and I would have taken your word for it. But yeah, I mean, I like Alan Rickman. He's a great
Mhm.
actor. And
I was just gonna
you
say,
know,
I'm sure that was a actor's choice. I'm almost sure of it. And I believe it was an actor's choice because he did it, and Serendipity lifted her dress, but they didn't show it on camera.
right. Well, I think it's probably because it's funnier when it's a dude doing something like that than a woman.
Factual,
Um, yeah,
factual. Nobody's trying to be
because
sexual
nobody wants to
about
see
comedy
Alan Rickman's junk, anyways.
at all.
So
Yeah, I think
yeah,
that is the funny part. You're right, because it's like, yeah,
yeah.
if it's something Hayek, we're all like, oh.
Right, right. So this definitely is. That would have been the $10 million budget right there. So.
That's for sure. Factual. You know what? Thank you, Mrs. Hayek, or Miss. I'm not sure if she's married or not, but thank you, Selma Hayek, for saying no, just in case they proposed it, so that the budget was just low enough for us to still get a good movie.
Oh
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. Like Halle Berry and Swordfish.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I
I
they
think she
they
got
gave
paid
her.
well for that, though.
Oh, she did. That's what I
Yeah,
mean. Is that she only did that because they gave her racks on top of her salary.
man. I mean,
Right? Why not? Right?
with that pun to myself.
If you're getting bothered, they keep telling you to have a nude scene. Like, well, give me that nude scene bonus, man.
Yeah, for real.
Give me those Halle Berry bucks.
I don't know how much it was, but I'm guessing back in those days,
It was a
just
big deal.
thinking,
I remember. I think it was
yeah,
like something like
north
a
of
half
quarter
a.
mil,
I think it was.
north of
I
half
think
a
it was
mil.
either half a mil or a mil. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds about right. That's
Hmm.
because that was around 98, 99 as well, I believe.
Yeah.
Swordfish. So yeah, once we get in, another one of my favorites before we get to Rufus is finding out we went through 5 Adams before you found out that a human cannot sustain the voice of the one true God.
Right.
That's hilarious to me, only because word. So we just over here popping heads, God. All right, Black
Yeah.
Bolt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in this movie does kind of address um, the very different gods in the Bible. You have the New Old Testament God who's about burning down Sodom and Gomorrah and flooding the world. And then you have this New Testament God who's much more like Alanis Morissette at the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
And I think that it's cool because, Bartleby and Loki are used to the Old Testament God, the God that wanted,
that's like
yes, to smite people. So they kind of still stuck in their ways, even though Loki is the reason Loki just decided to quit.
yeah.
Um,
Bartleby
so,
just wanted a new job. We just didn't. Nobody realized it until late.
mhm.
That's all that comes down to. Um, so as they're going forward, we find out that Bethany's going to meet 2 prophets, and those 2 prophets that she meets are Jay and Silent Bob, Snoochie Boochies. And I, I don't know. I can never buy them as heroes, but just the chemistry of those two in any scene, it just works.
Mhm.
It just works. It doesn't matter what you put them in, it works.
Yeah.
And hey, it worked here, and again, top 10. Excuse me. So once we get through all of that, now we get to the car breaks down and we meet Rufus. Also, I love Loki's sense of judgment. Just you can sniff a sin from a mile away, buddy. Really? That's
Mhm.
that's pretty impressive.
Right.
Uh, so then we have Rufus, and Rufus is hands down my favorite character, just because he's the 13th apostle, and if you guys don't know what that means, it means he's the black apostle.
Mhm.
That's right. There was a black apostle, and also Jesus was black. Think it through. Makes sense. But I also love his explanation on why he doesn't make the book and Jesus does. It's like, dog, he's the son of God. You don't think they was just going, you can't X him out the book. You get no New Testament without him. Like, you got to
Mhm.
put him in there. So, what I did enjoy, not just about Chris Rock thing, Chris Rock being Rufus, but about Rufus, it gives you that moment to kind of explore into the other side of Jesus' life. Him having brothers and sisters, him having kids, him having a life outside of being this omnipotent deity. And I think that is something that we see a lot. Because I do think a lot of this movie is relative to being a celebrity versus religion. But I think that's what we see a lot in celebrities nowadays is they don't have the ability to be human. Like people just you have to be this thing, and it's like, hey, I came from somebody's home, and we grew up over here, and I went to elementary school just like everybody else, and junior high, mid, like I had to go through life like everybody else, and then I got to this point in which I was something different.
Mhm.
Um, I think they do a good way of highlighting that through Rufus.
Yeah, yeah. I would agree. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think
I like Chris Rock's character as Rufus, and I think it was funny to give him the sort of the he's the conduit back for Bethany's faith, right?
mhm,
So he's the one that kind of brings Bethany back to her faith, even though she's talking to angels and has prophets around. It's like it's Rufus that really kind of talks to her about not being so analytical about your beliefs and your ideas and thinking that like it has to be very rigid. The ultimate Rufus's ultimate theme is that belief, having a good idea is better than a belief.
right, right. Which
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, I think that's a pretty solid concept too.
yeah. I think they're kind of in two different worlds, but I agree with the sentiment for sure. Yeah, because if you believe in something that's incorrect, then good luck trying to reverse that and fix that and all that. Like it's not going to be easy. But if you just have an idea that you test out and it turns out to be a bad idea, you can let it go.
Right. And I think that's exactly the point is just
Mhm.
people are so rigid about their ideas, they'll go to war over them, they'll kill over them, they'll die over them.
When they become convictions and beliefs, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, over their beliefs exactly. Um but yeah, something I thought when I was watching this in college. So you mean to tell me it takes the black apostle to make that kind of sense? And then I get a little bit older and I realize if the black apostle, the guy that they left out, is making this much sense, then and just thinking in the context of the way the movie's written, if he's making this much sense, then of course he's the one. Like we all have that friend that's closer to the family than most of your other friends. You know what I mean? So it would be like he would be the closest one to divinity. He would be the one who really got all of the niche fine points about what was meant and what was being taught. Um, those people are usually seen as crazy just as much as the person at hand. You know,
Mhm.
the people
Yeah.
who are along for the most intricate parts of the journey. The people who sit at the same table, and that would take me. So say, look at it this way: Rufus could have been the closest apostle, and Judas was the furthest. Hence the jealousy.
Mhm.
You know.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah. Mhm.
So yeah,
It's possible. You're creating a headcanon though. So yeah.
again, yes,
Yeah.
I have a tendency to do that as well.
I think the farthest this goes is that it's funny because the 13th apostle was written out of history because he was black.
That's right. And
That
because a black man can
that's the
steal your radio,
comedy,
but he
right?
can't be your savior.
Right, right.
But yes, you're right. Leave it in the comedy realm. And still, it's funny. What can
It is
I
funny.
say? Also, I noticed I didn't even think about this till just now. I want to say Chris Rock is in 3 or 4 Kevin Smith movies as well. So I know he's in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and I think he's makes a cameo in Mallrats. Maybe not
I don't know.
Mallrats. One
Yeah.
of those. Clerk. I don't know. I watch a lot of Kevin Smith movies.
Mm.
Um, we've already talked about Serendipity as a stripper. We've talked about how much we enjoy this movie. Um, I thought it was interesting when you get to the train and they, you know, you have Bartleby and Loki, and there are these angels that have all this perception and they understand so much, and they couldn't figure out who Jay and Silent Bob or Bethany was until they saw the apostle.
Yeah. Well, I think that's just kind of to create the tension, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Pushes the story along. Like yeah.
I
At
mean, we
some point
needed.
they had to have a course, and I guess it makes sense, right?
Oh yeah, and it came in the perfect time with a movie story time wise. But also it leads to the first line from Silent Bob, "No
Mhm.
ticket."
Right.
Like, come on, dude. Uh, but yeah, I can't think beyond that. Let's see. They get into the scuffle. Oh, what did you think of the what did Azrael summon the
Oh, the
Gar
Golgotham.
Golgotham, the
The
shit
shit
demon.
demon. Yeah. It's
The
pretty
Golgotham.
gross. But again,
But
it's
it's
clever
cool.
the way yeah, it's clever the way they handle it, right? Because they don't have the money to actually have a fight with the shit demon, so they just have Silent Bob kind of knock him out with some
Hit it with
sort
some
of
odor eater,
some odor eater, yeah.
some
Um,
Aspanaka.
yeah, which is a clever way of being like, well, we can't show you the because they don't even show you the gang getting beat up by it,
Mhm,
because that would cost too much money.
mhm.
But I think it was a clever way of being like, oh, there we solved that. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
We're gonna move on with the story.
I like the explanation from Serendipity of who or what the Golgotham is made of. So all of the criminals and the people that were exercised, so to speak, or executed on, I guess, what would that be, Golgotham Hill or whatever. Um,
Yeah, like an executioner hill.
yeah,
Yeah.
where Jesus was also murdered. When their bodies expire, they defecate, and then the blood and the sweat and all of the tissue and junk that fall off of the body go into the ground and whatever. But yeah, all of that is summoned into hell, into the Golgotham, and that's why it's called the shit demon, because it's all the hate and anger of the murdered and the worst people from those times.
Mhm.
Fucking insane.
Mhm.
Like it's so crazy that you don't think about those kind of uh entities. When you think about all the other lore you hear about, we always hear about the winged demons and those with the backward, the pixies and all that, but you never hear about shit demons and all that. But those things are supposed to be a part of the lore too.
Mhm.
Like they're out there, man.
Yeah.
And that's right, man. But sorry. So we discovered that Bethany is the great, 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 great grandniece of Jesus, and that's what convinces her to go through with this whole process because she was over it. Like 5 times, she was like, "I'm out of here. I can't do this shit."
Yeah.
Uh, but her being Jesus' 5 times great grandniece puts her right in contention and gives her the confidence to follow through. And from there, what? Azrael's a dummy, and he lets them hit him with blessed clubs.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he
Uh,
didn't know that it was blessed, but
he
yeah.
didn't know. He didn't know.
Mhm.
But he's a fucking demon. Should have
Right.
some kind
Right.
of why else would serendipity be telling them to hit you with it? She knows that a demon can only be destroyed by certain things.
Mhm.
Genius.
Yeah.
That's just
And,
me. Like
another one of those like where how we
that's
got to
not.
get out of this situation.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so the
Yeah.
characters can keep moving. Yeah.
And it was a good way to do it because it was like I could understand if like, yeah, come on, come on. Oh, you got a golf club, man. What the fuck?
Hmm.
Um, and actually, I think visually that might be my favorite scene of the movie.
Right.
Visually, that might be my favorite scene of the movie. Which this entire movie, I think, is very well shot. I think it's very patiently shot. I always wondered how long it took them to shoot this, and I've never looked into that. Um, but yeah, Azrael dies. They go to the church, and I, I've always disliked how when they first get there, that Loki is human already. I want
Yeah.
to see that process.
Yeah. I think that was dumb too. Like, I don't know why he would choose to do that. Maybe just because he wanted to get drunk, but I feel like
Yeah,
he
he
could have
definitely
been
has to get drunk.
drinking anyways, though, because the angels can drink. It's just that they're not allowed to by God. So that's why Metatron spits it out.
Right,
So they
right. Yeah, they're not
technically could
allowed.
drink anyways.
I'm wondering what it does to them when they drink it.
I think they get drunk. That's why it was banned in the first place, because Loki got drunk and then quit
You're
on
right.
God, and then God's like, "You guys aren't allowed to drink alcohol anymore." Yeah.
You're right. Absolutely.
But
And
yeah, it would have been nice to see, Loki or, like still an angel. Because like, why would you give Bartleby the upper hand like that?
I mean, he already tapped out, so yeah, I don't understand that either. That was always a thought I had. Like, wouldn't you want to protect the humans at this point, dude? But
Yeah.
as he said, Bartleby used to feel bad for the humans. Look at him now.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, thoughts as we round this over.
Yeah. It's kind of a fun scene with all of the bodies dropping and stuff, and Bartleby just killing everybody just because he
Hmm.
can. And I think the best scene, one of the best scenes, is when God appears. I think that's really kind of the climax of the movie.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, it was cool. I liked how they handled that. I like that Bartleby, like immediately bows before God when she shows up.
Hmm.
It's like a gut instinct. Like he doesn't have, like, it's an
No will.
impulse. Yeah, he
Yeah,
has no choice but to. I thought that was cool. Um, yeah, lots of
definitely.
good stuff. Lots of
No,
good
yeah.
stuff.
Again, I think that's one of the beautiful things about this movie is it's shot well. Again, the casting is done well. So the body language of the actors, the dialogue, the execution of direction, it seems everything was done very well. Like I don't know what parts of this movie people wouldn't like aside from think piece type things. Like, oh, I just didn't like the concept of this.
The
Uh,
lead actress is flat. I don't like her.
oh, I
Yeah,
guess yeah.
they could have found a better actress. I mean, I would have.
Perhaps
I don't know why they didn't have Janine Garofalo be
Garofalo.
there. Yeah,
She
they
reminded me a
had her,
lot
man.
of Janine Garofalo. That's the crazy part. And then
Well,
to
but
have
very
them in that one scene
subdued.
together,
Yeah.
you know, that one scene they had together, it was almost like watching the same person talk to her. Like for
Well,
real, it was.
yeah.
But
But
I
yeah.
didn't. I can't say I disliked her. I can't say I disliked
Mhm.
her. But yeah, absolutely. They get to the church. Everything. That whole scene is crazy. Another one of those scenes I would have liked to see a little more of. Um, Jay shooting off Bartleby's wings like an idiot because he's Jay and he doesn't listen to nobody.
Mhm.
Uh, let's see. Oh, I love the realism of Alanis Morissette's God.
Mm.
You know, doing what needed to be done, black bolting Bartleby's head off. But right after that, making a joke about the blood on her clothes. Boom. Got new clothes under this. Now I'm gonna go do handstands in the garden till y'all finish talking to each other.
Mhm.
and bad handstands and fall over like a little kid. Like
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
to appreciate that outlook of God just wanting to do the relaxing finer things of existence.
Yeah. I think that, yeah, the juxtaposition, right? Alanis Morissette is a very small woman,
Hmm.
and having her be God is interesting in a juxtaposition type way, because you assume the Almighty would be more assuming than
Mighty.
that. Yeah.
I totally understand. So yeah, after she kills Bartleby, fixes all of the destruction, and gives Bethany a child after she brings her back to life. Uh,
It's
everybody else
literally a Deus ex machina. It's literally a Deus ex machina. God literally comes to save the day.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's funny. I mean,
But
it's the only way it could end for a movie like this.
in this manner, yeah. But it's weird how it doesn't play as one of those superhero. I mean, like a hero story or a champion story,
Right,
which
right.
most of the time it would. But it's just this still right into the wheelhouse of being satirical, comical,
Mhm.
feel good, even at the end. And it's weird to say feel good because you really don't feel good. You just still have a little residual chuckle left in your tank.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, overall though, I enjoyed the movie.
yeah.
Um, God, Serenity, Rufus, and the Metadrone all head home, and uh, Jay and Silent Bob stay with Bethany.
Yep.
I did enjoy that God just laughed, told Jay shut up, where by shh, and then gave him a
Mhm.
kiss on the cheek, which knocked him out. Um, which again puts those perspectives on all these big demonstrative things. Like Jay's just a big mouth. He's really not harmful at all.
I wonder if God's kiss like got him stoned or something. You know,
I
like
think it was
he
a
kissed him
level
and
of
then he just went into like a K hole.
right. Yeah, definitely a level of euphoria kicked
Yeah.
in.
Mhm.
So yeah, overall, like I said, I love this movie. There's nothing really bad I can say about it. So I can run from there.
Mhm.
High points again: cinematography, great dialogue, great script, screenwriting, shit, location. I think I being a little older, one thing I know I was doing in this particular watch, I was going through it, questioning some of the scenes and where they took place, and overall, all of the scenes were proper. Like in my opinion, I couldn't have thought of a better way to have them played out, except the bus station scene. That would have been more interesting in a even though I like it. Say if it was an open air bus station, that would have been a little different. That'd have been a little
Mhm.
different. But overall, yeah, this is one of the movies I reference when I'm just trying to be intrigued and be inspired.
Yeah. Nice. Anything else that I wanted to touch on? No, I think we caught it. I mean, this movie's been out for so long, and sorry that I'm not like contributing more. It's just I've seen
No,
this
no,
movie
no.
so many times that I'm like, I feel like I've already talked about it, but I
Mhm.
haven't.
Correct. And I'm
um,
going through the same thing to where I'm saying things, even though I'm saying them, I feel like I've already said them, but
mm,
only because I've talked about this movie 50 million times. I've
yeah,
watched it definitely north of 50 times in general. So yeah, there's
it's
nothing.
it's worth a watch, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of people will find it funny, and it's entertaining. It's the I didn't necessarily feel bored or anything like that. That's for sure.
Hmm.
I and you enjoy all of the cameos. There's tons of
Hmm.
actors in this movie, so
And the
fun
quote.
original story, yeah, and yeah, it's a good time. I would suggest it to anybody who hasn't seen it. That's for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Without question, if you haven't seen Dogma, go check it out. Also, I think the quotes from this movie are great. I'm not going to run through a bunch of them, but I think, like I said, the quotes, the dialogue, this movie is written in the capacity of which um, different, I don't want to say versions, but different things of this movie are definitely valuable and catchy. They'll get you to come back. So
Mhm.
I'll stop with that. So what about ratings? What do you think, Nick?
That's a good question. I like this movie. I think it's a fun flashback. It's a little bit nostalgic. It's a small story, but it's dealing with bigger scope than just like a tiny, intimate story, which I think they do pretty well, especially considering they only spent $10 million on this.
Hmm.
I think it's an efficient use of the budget. I think they did very, very well for that, especially with how many movie stars they got in this movie. The story is fun. I laughed a few times. Yeah, it's funny in some respects. Definitely in the Jay and Silent Bob area. They're
Oh,
the
definitely.
comic relief. Um, yeah, I'm feeling. I think this is like a 7 for me.
The
It's
blasphemy.
in the blasphemy. I know it's a 7 for me. It's enjoyable. I had a good time. Is it my favorite? No, not really. Do I like Kevin Smith movies? I don't think I do, but I like this movie, and I think it's worth the watch, and it's probably worth keeping in your collection if you ever wanted to collect DVDs or Blu-rays now.
Mhm.
Um, I wouldn't. I would probably pick it up for my collection just because it is a cult classic, and
Right.
yeah. So I think solid 7 for me.
Nice. I definitely have it in my collection along with other Kevin Smith movies. And ironically, after I chose this, I thought to myself, I believe we've had a discussion in the past where I asked you about other Kevin Smith movies, and you had told me this might be the only one you really enjoyed enough to watch
Yeah,
multiple times, if
yeah,
if
yeah,
I remember
definitely.
correctly. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's
yeah.
even funny for you to have referenced it just now. It's like, you know what? I had that thought too that you said that.
Mhm.
Um, But and I think that's what even might have intrigued me, is knowing that it's in my top 10, but of a particular body of work, it might be the one piece that you appreciate.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. Uh,
for me, sometimes it's those. It made me want to reevaluate it. Honestly, it's those things
yeah.
that make you question, like, why do I appreciate this to that level?
Yeah, well, and to each its own, I think that's all very subjective anyways. I'm
True.
not saying in any regard that this is an unenjoyable movie. I just don't particularly like Kevin Smith very much. But I like this movie again. So, I think that this is it's a fun one.
Right. Yeah. Fair. Fair. Nobody's paying us to like or dislike anything.
Mm,
With that being the case, and again, this is in my top 10. It's not in my top five, top three. And top 10 is subjective. Honestly, I think it changes for me every other month because I'm always seeing different stuff and having to shuffle things. I know it changes as far as this show is concerned every couple of, I'd say, tens of 10, 20, 30 episodes. We have to go back and reevaluate. So, who knows? It's in my top 10 again, but there was a point recently where it wasn't. But right now it is. And I'm going to give this an 8 because although it is in my top 10, there are still criteria. A lot of that criteria for me is emotionally based. And this is a comedy. There's nothing really to get emotional about. Um,
mhm.
so yeah, for me, this is going to be a solid 8. And it's honestly not even my highest ranked Kevin Smith film. So hey.
There you go. Yeah, which puts it at a 7.5 for
Hmm.
us, which is
That's indeed. It's pretty
respectable.
good.
Yep, absolutely. Um, yeah, go check it out, guys. It's a fun movie. I'm sure you can find it somewhere.
No, for sure.
So yeah, it's a good one to go check out for sure.
Mhm. Yes, indeed. Well, with that being the case, that is our review for the 1999 Kevin Smith Dogma movie. Go ahead and check that out, guys. Rewind to the top of this and hear everything that we've said about the Dogma movie. If you just somehow skipped all the way to the end and didn't hear the beginning, it happens. Happens to me all the time, technology. But by all means, come right back on over here to the Screen Time Continuum. We'll be here for you on Wednesdays and Sundays at 8:30 p.m. On Tuesdays, you can head on over to If Numbers Could Talk. If Numbers Could Talk is going to be on for you at 8 p.m. on Tuesdays. Now, they don't go on every single Tuesday, but they definitely do their best to get you some information. Oh, why do I keep saying they? I run If Numbers Could Talk.
Day. All of the numbers in your head.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Over on Twitch, go and see Dejan. Dejan's going to be there with Strawberries and Coffee, giving you all of the latest games. His catalog and library of games is so dense that sometimes I just want to go and visit him and ask him, can I play? I just
Yeah, right.
But definitely check him out, see what he has for you. He's going to go on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10:30 p.m. And also randomly through the week, he just jumps on. So make sure you hit the subscription notification bell on all of our podcasts, but definitely over on Twitch on Strawberries and Coffee so that you can get those as he comes up. Also, don't forget the Exofathom is on Friday nights, 8 p.m. You guys don't want to miss that. I mean, what are you doing? Think about it. You're on your way to do something. You're in transition. You're on your way from doing something. You just got off of work. You could definitely put the Exofathom on Friday nights. Start your weekend off right. That's going to be right there, 8 p.m. for you. And then on Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, you can get on over to This Married Moment, and we'll be right there for you as well. Once you're done with that, you'll get a break from us. It's okay. You get from midday Saturday all the way until Sunday evening, and we're right back here on the Screen Time Continuum. Check us out. All of the shows that I just mentioned are definitely available for you on Facebook and YouTube. You'll also be able to find various of these podcasts in different platforms. Some you could check out on Anchor. I know Rumble, Vrabel.
Rumble. Yep.
Rumble. See, I write them down and then I still don't remember. I really try to rehearse these things and it doesn't pan out sometimes.
It's all good.
But yeah, definitely, guys. At the end of the day, If you don't remember anything I just said, all of those podcasts are going to be thrown at you every single time we have a show. So head right back here to the Screen Time Continuum. You're already subscribed to us, so I know you know where to find us. Wednesdays, Sundays, 8:30 p.m. We appreciate you. For the Screen Time Continuum, my name is Keelan.
And I'm Nick.
Appreciate you guys. We'll holla at you.
Good night.